Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
What is up, my fellow addicts? Ralph Sutton, Big J Oakerson. A longer episode. TJ Miller and Big J
hate
Oakerson.
a long episode.
No, I'll say this.
You
TJ
hate
Miller and Big J Oakerson, they break bread. They become friends on this episode.
Yeah.
And then it's been a while.
Always
so
admire TJ.
that's the first half or so was that. We're seeing them get back on track together. Then we do Whippets, which is also crazy.
It's fun. You're gonna do another one before we leave.
Before we leave, I will do another
You
one.
are.
But
It's so fun.
It's an hour and a half episode. It's probably the longest SDR episode ever, right?
And no one even squirted.
And no one even squirted. By the way, one day I'm going to do this. Let me just say this, Shannon. I'm going to edit together all the texts from Jay asking me, is there a whore coming in tonight? Or is there a hot girl coming in tonight? And I'm just going to put them all together.
Didn't say. What Ralph's talking about completely is today, and I said it is a girl coming in to do Whippets with us. It's or a porn girl.
Porn girl.
Didn't say anything about a slut. Didn't say
Then
anything
you
about a
said
whore.
slob. You said slob.
Didn't say that at all. You're a piece of garbage. Everybody enjoy the SDR show. Ralph's a scuzz.
Oh my goodness. It is the SDR show, sex, drugs, and rock and roll show in the better late than never category.
What does that mean?
Well, 17 minutes later.
That's
than
your fault, though.
It's partially my fault.
Remember how you just strolled up so
Guys,
casually
someone got
5
shot
minutes ago?
outside. We're not going to bring this up.
Someone got shot outside?
A man was shot and killed.
For real?
That's why we started late.
Yeah.
Is that
That's
what?
true.
Oh, I thought you were serious because there's a bunch of streets closed down. I thought maybe someone
Did get shot.
I mean, maybe.
Someone did on CN 12 3 days ago.
My wife called 311 today.
4?
Really?
Yeah.
4?
She was worried about a girl on the street.
freaking out.
Was
the girl freaking out, or was she
Not really.
in
She
danger?
was kind
didn't
of
like her
looking
outfit.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. She was upset about
Fashion
her outfit.
faux pas.
But Kate got a bunch of fire trucks to come and take her away. It was the whole thing.
Really?
So they're shutting down. Crazy shit happens in New York every 15 minutes.
That's why, by the way, I deleted
30
both the neighborhood app, or whatever that's called, and the
Citizen?
Citizen and the other one. There's the other one, like
Why?
next door. Because they didn't like
Were you
constantly-
obsessively looking at it?
No, but it would constantly tell me, hey, someone just got stabbed.
Hey, Ralph, you could just turn off your
I just decided
notifications.
I just took it off.
That's the problem with you. You don't know how to do that because you use
Android?
Android, exactly.
Do
You know
you guys
what
look
You
at
need
me
to get
differently?
focus.
Do you guys look at me differently because I come up without the blue check?
Yeah,
Well,
you're
the
a
green,
dildo.
whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, yeah, when it goes green.
Is that what it is?
In fact, more sad than the green is when I type in Ralph into like the find the contact, your contact comes up gray.
What does that even mean?
Is it really?
So if your iPhone, it comes, the numbers are white and bright. If you're not,
It's
it comes
gray?
up gray,
Oh, that's
like
funny.
dark and gray, almost like it's not your number anymore.
almost like my personality, just dark and gray.
Yeah, just gloomy.
I found an iPhone shortcut that when an Android user texts, instead of coming up green, it's just the text, and below it says poor.
That's not.
Can I say your nails are beautiful?
Yeah, his nails are great. I noticed it at dinner.
Can I say you're color coordinating your human face is pretty beautiful too? He's got kind of a copper and
That's nice.
silver thing
mix
going
it,
on. He
mix
got
it
either
up.
side.
It goes with it goes.
By the
I
way,
love
it is,
this too.
for the
'Cause
second
it's not. I
time.
thought half of it was, but it's not. It's just a spray.
It's just a spray. It's like
Just
a little.
kind of like what I've got going on right here, but a little bit more
Sun
punk rock.
kissed. A little sun kissed.
Yours is violently sun kissed.
By the way, it's TJ Miller back for round 2. Last
Hell
time
yeah.
you weren't here, buddy. It's good that we're all here.
I know. I'm
Fuck
so
yeah,
excited.
dude.
That's right. You were being replaced by somebody that was from a parallel universe.
James Maddern or Zach?
James Maddern. By the way, get the
No,
champagne.
Zach was there also.
Zach was here also. Yeah, it was both.
He was great.
Amigos.
But James Matterhorn, that's a guy who, because we're going to talk about the special, that's a guy who's really quick with crowd work.
He's very good, James. And it's funny. It was such a funny thing with him. When I first met him, he went solely by Mad Dog.
Is that true?
That was a stage name.
That's really
And it's
funny.
one of those things like not being able to change. I remember Billy Burr going to Bill Burr and having to learn that one. Bobby Kelly really was pushing that he wanted you to call him Robert Kelly.
I remember that. That's what you're right. I kind of was like, what? Now I wanted to know, I thought about this today when I was watching your special while
Nice.
my wife was getting somebody committed to a hospital. She's over there like, it's her. I don't know if she, and I'm just over there like,
you,
You guys
I
know
like that
you
riff
know your
about the-
lanes.
yeah, exactly. Stay in them. So yeah, I mean, have you ever thought of taking the big out of Big J? Did you ever go as Jay Oakerson? Is what I should ask.
Or
James Oakerson, or Mad Dog,
Mad Dog Oakerson.
Matterhorn.
Wait, before you answer, all the any movie or TV show credits you've ever had, does it all say Big J Oakerson?
No. it's all different. It's funny. I'm not in the movie Isn't It Romantic, but I filmed 2 scenes in it, and for whatever reason, I'm still 8th in the credits as just Jay Oakerson.
Okay.
I might be in Hustlers as Big Jay Oakerson. My specials always say Big Jay Oakerson, but the reason I kept that was when I started in the Black Circuit in Philly. I learned. Me and Kurt Metzger started together, and Metzger was so good.
funny,
he was
dude.
so good at comedy, so fast, and but these black rooms
You said to
had.
yourself, it's going to really help me out here if I add the name Big. That'll show.
No. It's not that. It's that I was called Big J because one of my best friends, senior year of high school, his name was Jay also. By the way, hilariously enough, not even small, just smaller than me. So his girlfriend at the time dubbed us because she would hang always with the group. She was like part of our group of friends, but also his girlfriend. So I'd hear her on phone calls or talking to whoever and being like, when she'd say I'm at Jay's house, she would say I'm at Big J or Little Jay's house. And it just kind of caught on. And it was Big J and Little J. And Little J was also called Little J every time. And then when I started doing comedy in the Black Circuit, I saw the massacring they would do of Kurt's name, Metzger. How much they would massacre it that I was just happy to go just Big J. Like Big J will work just fine. And stage names also in the Black Circuit are not a weird thing.
No, I would say I see, because I started not in the Black scene, but I started in the Chicago scene, and I would play the South Side. Very few people. Hannibal would play the South Side.
The Union? No, it's in
No,
LA.
it's Jokes and Notes. Yeah. And the Union's really funny too. But so I would, in Bronzeville, I'd go down there and I would perform. And everybody had especially because it was, I would do the open mic and I do guest spots and stuff. But the open mic, everybody's trying to be Cedric the Entertainer, whatever it is.
Big energy.
Yeah. And so the first time that I performed was at the Cotton Club in the Southside of Chicago. And I told myself I had to get up. It was like Memorial Day or whatever that is. And I told myself, I was like, I just have to get up. I'm going to make it's that moment as a stand-up comic where if I don't do it now, then I'm never going to. And it was closed. The white room was closed, the white open mic. And so I called, I just looked up open mics, the place, the Cotton Club. It was like mixed open mic, whatever, meant like music. I was like, all right, I just got to go and do it. I went down there, I showed up, no one was there. It was like a couple black people and then a Hispanic bartender. And I was like, is the open mic on? He's like, yeah, it'll start in 15 minutes. So I went in the bathroom to practice my jokes. And then I came out and the place was packed. There was no place that you could possibly sit. And it was all black people. There was no white people in the entire place except for me. I was the only white person. So when I sat down, because the bartender was like, go ask that other guy's a comedian. He's the other comedian. I think it was because I quickly learned it was a hip hop, R&B, blues, heavy duty, Aaliyah level singing.
It's a black event.
It was a black event. It was a black event.
2 comics just thrown in the mix at some point.
So his name was D-Man. Because when it comes to comedy, I'm D-Man. And I love that he didn't really say D-Man. He just said, I'm D-Man.
D-Man.
And I'm like, you don't need a period after the D. I supported you to have the periods in there, and he was a little bit lame.
Shocking with that name.
Arm. Yeah, and but he got on stage, he did his stuff, he didn't do great, and he came out, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be really tough. And so then I went up, and the MC, Big Shug, he came and talked to me beforehand. You could tell he was being nice, just like, tell me what you want me to say. And I saw him just sizing me up, being like, this is going to be bad for you, man. It's just not going to be fun. And he was a really nice guy. So he went on stage, and he goes, come on the stage. Let's get some big energy. Let's show them Cotton Club energy. And he really got them going. It was awesome. He really was like, come on now, show them what we do here, all of it. And then I came on stage, and immediately everyone was like, because a lot of people it was a big place. A lot of people hadn't seen that there was a white person in there.
Oh, that's great.
It was like, where the fuck
Great.
you come from? Really? Did you just walk in the front door? And so I get up, and I kind of, it's my first time doing stand-up in my life. And I'm like, well, thank you guys so much for coming to see me tonight. And the place went insane. No one was there to see
Of course,
some fucking white kid from the north side. And then
Can I ask how old are you at this point?
I would have been 22 or 23 or something like that. And I didn't have an amazing set, but it went great because I'd gotten them, you know? And once you get a black crowd,
No better feeling.
there's really also no better crowd, kind of.
Nope, there's no better crowd.
white
Once
crowd
they're on your
will get
once they're on
amazing.
your side, is it harder to lose?
I'll tell
them?
you one of the greatest feelings.
Oh, that's a great question because you've probably lost as many crowds.
for sure. Well, the losing usually happens right
That's a
up
great
front.
compliment. You probably lost as many crowds as you've gotten.
No, you're not wrong. I've definitely it's taken a bad turn, but what I did learn again with starting the black circuit taught me very quickly, and it was funny because I did for the most part generally much better than Kurt in those scenarios where Kurt was writing much higher level comedy at that
He's
time.
such a good writer.
It was just lost on that thing because what I was learning to do, I wasn't even overthinking the super high quality of my bits. I learned how to perform. You know what I mean? I learned how to like do that. I did every what would be a faux pas technically now that I would never do, but like I
the
fucked
chair
this, I
humping.
fucked the
Yeah.
stools. I had
like
the DJ hit it a bunch of
Yeah.
music cues. You know, a whole
you gotta
bunch.
do that. Hit it.
A bunch
So
of like
fun.
physical
Would
stuff.
you bring a CD or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much you talk about being white? Was that included in every single
It came up.
set? It came up once.
Yeah, it came up in every single set. And
You have to.
Right, but I just learned how to play that role. What I feel like my only because you want to hold on to some semblance of like being true to what you thought funny was versus like pandering to a
Yeah,
crowd.
what works.
And my thing was always like one thing I never did, and I watched a lot of comics do it, and it was my chest out thing, was that I did not adopt like a vernacular that I didn't have. And I watched that was always a big thing. Like a white guy in his 40s would go up and be like, hey guys, me and my posse were out doing whatever.
yeah.
And I was like, or the guys that would not even do it as like spoof, they would almost do it like genuinely. Like they'd go in there and be like, it's like, yo, what's up? And they would just
Yo,
like
what's
talk.
up, y'all?
They would
Hey, yo,
talk the
check-
talk, and I was like, it's not me. I don't talk like that, so I'm not going to like change my speech pattern for this. But I definitely had jokes that were like, yo, P. Diddy will put himself in any song. DJ, put that shit on one more again.
Oh, my
and
God.
I would
One more
be,
again is great. One more again.
why come P. Diddy be in every song?
See, I would always talk about once I got more comfortable there, then all the time it had to be jokes about like, ladies, if you'd like a respectable credit score, I'll buy you a drink after the show. So I had to you had
pander.
to do that because if you didn't do that, then they were because there was no other white people. I was the only white guy.
Well, the
doing
thing
it.
you couldn't
So
do
you
at
just
the
had
time.
to say it. Otherwise, they're like, "Are you not aware?"
But that's what I was leading to was that, and I don't know when the last time you have or whatever. What's great is what you didn't realize at the time, and I didn't realize at the time either, was because we knew it was gonna. When you did those kind of pander things, you knew it was gonna do well, so you had a confidence in you going up at that point. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the
Yeah.
fact that you knew how to get them, and that's 100% of what a black crowd or Hispanic crowd that's having a white person go up is looking for. And what's really fun now is the few times a year where like one of my buddies will invite me to do his room. It's like a black room and a thing. I'll be like, if I like really have the time, I'm like, yeah, I'll go, because it's fun now is to go get him with my actual sense of humor because I'm not afraid of the situation.
Let me ask this question to
like, you know what I mean? And even when someone says like, if I see somebody who's like ignoring me because they're like, oh, it's some white shit, like I'm happy to be like, sir, why are you not? It's like, you're not even gonna give me a chance because I'm a white. I'm not afraid of what he's gonna say.
Yeah, well,
you know what I
that's
mean? Like,
also what you do
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And so a big part of that is that if you didn't, but that's kind of what's interesting to watch you work when you're riffing, because if you had any fear of what the person was going to say, then the entire thing doesn't really work.
Right.
And I think that there's a club called the Haha Cafe in Los Angeles. I haven't played there in a long time. But that was really funny because it's almost all Hispanics. It's in North Hollywood.
El Segundo.
And it's really, really fun because it's the same level, but it's also different. Like, I think I would prefer. I mean, a black crowd, once you get them, is really, they're just so, they're slapping their knees.
Is there a
White
role
people
reversal?
are never like,
Is there a black, like as you said, white pandering to the black room with the thing that you know that's going to work? Is there a reverse of that you see that you know
Yes,
that black people
very
will do?
much so. In fact, there was interesting with the people who did cross over to mainstream that I started. When I started in black comedy, they were like heroes of black comedy already, and then I watched them kind of the same time that I was coming to New York and going to the mainstream rooms. Like I'd see them starting to get in themselves too, and watching these guys who I thought were hilarious, and they found themselves ultimately. All of these guys. Will Sylvans, Mike Yard, Mike Britt.
Well,
Mike Britt was called Mike B.
So funny. Really, Mike B?
Yeah, he was Mike B in the black circuit. They're so fucking good, but I'd watch them come over. Mike Britt was probably the best at it ultimately. Do you know what I mean? Like he would actually do mostly his thing, like he did him. But like Will and Mike Yard, both two guys I watched, like they would almost every time I saw them do the same front to back set because it was like, these are my jokes that a white person, like white crowds would get. Yeah. And I remember like telling them, because I work with them in both, like not so much Mike, but I remember having a conversation with Will. I'm like, Will, how come you don't do the whatever bit anymore? And he's like, I don't think those white crowds will get it. And also the misconception is there's no such thing as a white comedy club. It doesn't exist. Unless you're in a white area only.
Omaha.
But yeah, for sure.
Omaha is a white comedy club. And I do well there.
I was just in KC. Pretty white. So I'm saying, but no, there could be a white area, but like in New York is what they meant. They were talking about the New York scene. And when they call the mainstream clubs, like they are not white clubs.
No, they're just mainstream.
They are everything.
Yeah.
And even in Omaha, if they bring a black comic, that's a black crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of.
So it's like it was fun. It was interesting to watch. They had a thing of like, as demeaning as it seems when you were like, well, I'm not going to pull out this joke in front of a black crowd. They're not going to get it. Is the same thing I felt when Will was like, well, they're not going to get this, but I go, well, I get it. I think they will get it. Like, do all of your Haitian stuff. You're Haitian, tell your Haitian. And then not that I got them to do it, but I'm saying like as those guys settled in, they eventually, I saw them become themselves in those rooms, and it was so much better. But like, yeah, everyone feels you have to pander. But that is said, that's why it's fun now, 24 whatever years in. To go and do a black room and be like, not that I'm going to do the best on the show or anything. Just like they'll enjoy me because I'm not nervous of what, like I said, they're waiting for a white guy to go up there and be panicky and then tear him to pieces.
Yeah. Well, and you're a white guy that's going to go up and not, you're going to talk about what, they don't yet, but you're going to go up there and it'll be an energy that they'll appreciate.
Yeah. I'll just get, in my mind, I'm like, that's why I said I wanted to do my, we couldn't get any of the, somehow reasons to do. You'll love this, TJ. It's right up your alley. I wanted to do my next crowd work thing at the Apollo Amateur Night at the very end of it, and just film the audience. And they were like, "Yeah, that's a lot of money to spend. Like, what if it doesn't go good?" I go, "I'm almost assuring you for the first 15 minutes, it will not be going good." He goes, "But I'm telling you that in 20 minutes, in 20 minutes, you could hear a mouse squeak between things I'm saying because they're going to be listening." Because I'm not worried about the
I can't believe they wouldn't approve that. It just seems like a brilliant fucking idea.
Yeah, they were saying I wanted to call it Big J Dances for Blacks.
That's pretty great.
But they were just like the cost of it was like
I
mean, I could self-produce it, I guess, but like there was a whole thing with it being at the end of their official amateur night. But I'm like, but I want that crowd that's there to go like, ring, and have the guy come out and cart him off stage. Yeah. But just give me 45 to an hour and I'm telling you. You're going to be nervous for a few minutes, but then there's going to be a point. And by the way, I could be wrong, but I just feel like I'm like, in 15 minutes or so, they're going to be like, I'm going to make fun of enough people in the audience
for sure.
that they're going to start enjoying that and being like, that's pretty funny.
I thought you said 15 minutes. I feel like the second you kind of like, once you get a really good one with someone in the crowd, and you just, because you do this sometimes, you'll just explain, you'll just say a couple things the person is wearing. If you do that and hit a home run, the whole crowd will open up.
But also
and
because
be like, this is the greatest.
Yeah, but the thing is, because I'm a white guy who's gonna give off confidence, it's amateur night at the Apollo. So they're thinking they're not gonna read that as like, oh, this guy's a pro. They're gonna read it like, this guy's cocky. So they're gonna be shitty at first. When I'm going at them, they're gonna be like, I'm telling you, they're gonna be like, why is this amateur night asshole
so the audience
going
doesn't know that you're...
Oh, I want to just do the Apollo's amateur night. Like, they're black.
Oh, that's
crowd
correct.
that
I would
yells.
go back to agreeing with you that for about a full 8 minutes.
Yeah,
they'll be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
But there's going to be a moment where they just catches them when they go like, oh, I think I get what he's doing. And then they're going to like be into it.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. Once you've sort of sat on a stool for long enough and made fun of like, 8 people, they're like, oh, he's really good at.
And we're not scaring him with our booze or our like shit talking. Like whoever shit talks, he's going to. What are you saying, sir?
Yeah.
What are you mad at? And then he'll
Exactly.
say, you blah blah blah. And then it's just
I see
I
your
have some
point,
questions,
but I
guys.
also want to bring up some things.
yeah, he goes, you're not wrong. I do not belong here.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
TJ performed at SKNK Fest this year.
Yeah.
Right? And I think by the way, I said this to him, we just had dinner. Only saw 2 shows while I was there. Really sat to watch 2 shows. Him at Depraved and your special, really the only 2 things I sat through, right? And Depraved is funny because you start with the worst joke of your life.
Yeah.
Right? And did you feel easy going into that, or is that something you're comfortable with?
I didn't. First of all, how'd the special go? Because I was only there on Sunday.
I think it will.
I thought it was great.
Was it good? Did you like it?
I'm
loved
editing
it.
it. I'm I have to go through and pick which thing from which show right now.
Yeah, I hate that.
And I've also, this was material that was essentially most of it ready before quarantine. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm.
How about breathing without a mask, everybody?
So
huh?
Yeah.
So watching it. No, I just mean like watching it being so close to those jokes for so long. I'm like, I literally like texting Ari nightly. I'm being like, is this good even?
Yeah.
Like I'm like this almost feels like it's like not, but it's like I know every nuance of
Right.
it. So I can't picture myself as as a person seeing it for the first time. I hope it would still be good.
This is material you're doing pre-pandemic or during the pandemic?
Pre and so it was pre. I was ready. I was supposed to go in April of 2020 to LA to run this for Netflix and HBO Max, and quarantine happened. That got completely canceled, and then there was not. Then after 3 months of not on the road at all, at least, then they started opening up some things, and I right away started jumping on them. But I genuinely, because I don't tape or write things down ever, I had to really remember it all again. So that took a few months to kind of go on the road to get it all back. And then also in time, these aren't, I mean, they sound like excuses, I guess, but it's more just the reality of the situation. In that time, Me Too and Black Lives Matter happened. And without so many words, HBO and Netflix both kind of gave me the, you're an unknown, essentially, like, straight white dude, like, it's not going to work. And they told me Degenerates was the path to the hour. And then 2 people who were not straight white males got specials from season 2 of Degenerates during quarantine. So I was like, oh, that kind of fucking sucks. And then it was just like a process to get to the point of being like, I guess I'll produce it myself and just.
Well, I just shot a special that was that. So I shot a special called The Philosophy Circus that was everything I had been doing for years before the pandemic and was ready to shoot a special. But then it took the pandemic to get me to a place where I was like, I'm just going to produce 3 specials because I had so much material. So I shot the pandemic special, which would later become Dear Jonah,
which I just watched.
and then the Philosophy Circus, which was that thing, and I filmed that 3 weeks later. I did 2 completely different hour specials in 3 weeks, and that was really, really intense.
Yeah,
self-produced,
but
really, really fun.
Because you have to be into both. Like when it's over, you have to really be like, those were good showings.
But I had the same situation you had with Philosophy Circus because I was like, are these as great as I remember them being?
Yeah.
Because the last time I was like, fuck, this is amazing. This is going to be a special was like 4 years ago.
Right. That's what I'm
so
saying.
then
Yeah,
I
it's
was
like my closing bit is a thing where I was like, I know I had to go back and remember a time where I was like, yo, that's like a great layered piece that says a lot. The Girl Cop.
Right.
Is what I close
which
on.
we got to enact a little bit too.
Yeah.
Really?
But it's like
where?
He has a bit that the piece is about that no woman cop. The premise of it is that
the piece is about getting in
Yeah,
trouble,
about
getting shit because I said that a girl cop can't do shit.
Yeah, and couldn't put her in handcuffs. So we had a 6'1" MMA
that's
WWE girl come in a couple weeks ago to try and put either of us in the handcuffs.
By the way, I could have beat her like a newborn at any given time.
It was nothing.
She's tough. She's a very tough lady.
Very tough girl. And she's, by the way, black belt in Taekwondo, kickboxing world champion, 6'1", WWE wrestler.
I would have beat her with wrestling moves that aren't even real. Like I would have stone cold stunned her. Like she would have just fallen subject to all of those. But anyway, the bits about like getting in trouble for saying some female cops. But like exactly, it's so many twists and turns. It's long and it grew over years. But I've just heard it so many times myself that watching it and picking the best one, I'm like, well, neither make me laugh.
Exactly.
You're like, I guess the crowd seemed to enjoy that one more for whatever reason.
I'd prefer to cut it, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, it's the closer.
Yeah, for me, I'm pretty happy I never have to say or hear it again.
But that was great about the Philosophy Circus. And it's funny that you guys mentioned the girl cop thing, because I have a podcast called Cashing In with TJ Miller. Very fun. Look into it if you like.
Hell yeah.
And so in Cashing In, he's really funny. He's funnier off the air, obviously, as many people can be. But he's talking about that like, how do we not be honest with ourselves about the fact that the number one female bodybuilder in the world is the 967th best bodybuilder in the world. So it's a similar there's some of that there. But yeah, Philosophy Circus, once I was done, I was like, thank God, I never have to do this again. And if I ever do it in a club or something, I'm like, this is a bummer that I'm doing this, but you're an audience that needs it. So this is not about me. At the end of every single day, it is not about me. So here you go. Here's the cat's bit that has been killing for 7 years. And you just got to do that. But for the most part, that's totally gone.
I do like the invigoration, though. I was saying of like what I like now is like, and I'm on the road straight through every week until March, pretty much. So like, but doing them now, like
that's the way.
When I go on the road, though, like, you know, people ask you get nervous anymore, and there's situations that you do. You know what I mean? Like if I go on stage at a comedy club in New York, no. If I go on the stage at a comedy club anywhere in the country, no. When I did that Burt Kreischer tour, like right before you go on, you're like, everyone's murdering so hard in a baseball stadium that you're all right, yo, I got to go like do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I did feel that kind of pressure. And like what's fun about going on the road now is like, I want these crowds to see the special and be like, I haven't seen this before. And even though I never really ran it much, like as a one whole piece on the road, but like I am happy to now. It's like when I go on the road, it's like there's an alertness that I didn't need to have before, where I'm like, yo, this show has to be about 70% crowd work because I only have 15 minutes of jokes. Like I've prepared jokes. I got to find stuff.
Well, the bummer about that is like I was gonna shoot a special like in September. Yeah, I guess it would have been September, which would have been the third completely different hour special of the year.
That's crazy. And to have it much in the pocket.
Well, I had Philosophy Circus in the pocket, and then the pandemic special.
Before these was the HBO the last thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
And but the pandemic special, Philosophy Circus was before the pandemic. Then I was trying to do this special called the Pandemic Special. It was just it wasn't all about the pandemic, but it was what I was doing during the pandemic. And I have what I think is the funniest backdrop. I played Zanies. You ever played Zanies in Nashville?
Love it, yeah.
So
Lucy.
It's great, right? Yeah, Lucy. I love her. Even the door. So it says Zanies in this stupid marquee. It just looks like a dumb fucking comedy.
It's very dumb. I think it's made of ladders.
Yeah.
I think it's ladders with little people climbing them. And it says Zanies.
It looks like a mark, but the Zanies is kind of zany font. And I always thought that was so cheap, so 80s, so funny. And so the background of Dear Jonah was me thinking, all right, the pandemic special. What I had to do during the pandemic was, as soon as places opened, and it seemed remotely safe, because my wife is high risk, and it seemed remotely safe, I just hit the road. And the only places I could play were Florida and Texas and Florida and also Georgia and Florida.
And back to Florida.
And then Florida. And then Jacksonville, Florida, down to Naples, Florida, to Port Charlotte. They won't even let you in there unless you say something racist. That's true. It doesn't have to be negative.
If the last club after a nuclear explosion was Naples off the hook, I would just quit comedy.
That would be it. I loved it there. So I nonstop was just touring that. and they're all like clubs. And so the background is Zanies, and then in the exact same font and everything are just fake names for different comedy clubs.
Yeah, that's great.
So that was really fun. But underneath, I remember somebody saw it. They're like, it sucks that you couldn't, that there's that number underneath, because the name of the sign company that made it and their phone number is on every single sign. And they go, it sucks that you couldn't get the signs. It seems distracting, with the phone number. And I was like, yeah, well, we got the signs for cheaper. And he was like, how much cheaper? And I was like, I think like $3,500. And he's like, couldn't you have paid that? And I was like, yeah, but it's the pandemic. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't have $3,500. It's the fucking pandemic. And so that's purposefully there.
But it's also hilarious upon explanation.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
we have heavy advertisements behind you.
And it's from Sir Speedy, which is hilarious. Sir Speedy Nashville. So that's my favorite thing in the world. But so I love that background. I was like, I'm going to do this. It'll be everything for the pandemic, like a time capsule of what it was like to be. I mean, I don't know how quickly you went out on the road. I'm sure really quickly. But it was for a hot minute, it was just me and black comics. That was it.
Yeah, I did.
It was just me and then like
and D-Man?
only black comics.
You know what I did was really fun? I picked like a club that's not super close, but also like a drivable distance. And I did it was my agent's idea. It was a good idea. He was like, just do a residency at a couple places. So I did.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So I did like a once a month thing. I'd go to, I started doing Philly, and I started doing Providence, Rhode Island Comedy Connection.
That club.
And I would just do a one night. We'd add a second show if the first show sold out, and just do one night, 2 shows, and I just drive back to New York the same night. It's only a 3-hour drive. Right. And like I did that. That kept me like sharp. That was awesome. That was an awesome
That's
thing
really cool. Providence, Rhode Island's really funny. Have you had 2 questions always when somebody's been, and have you been to Rhode Island?
I've been to Rhode Island.
So you're a foodie guy.
Yeah. I bet it was like 10, 15 years ago maybe.
So I think you should go back. And for 2 reasons. One, Rhode Island clam chowder. Did any of us even know that was a thing?
I didn't
You've
know that
had
was a
it
thing.
probably because you were there. It's fucking
great.
amazing.
Yeah.
Whatever that incredible, there's this ridiculously good seafood restaurant. It's on the river thing. It's the most famous one. And they gave me the clam chowder. I said, bring the New England clam chowder and then bring the Rhode Island clam chowder. And I think I said, all these waiters have been here for 50 years. And I think I said something like, and you don't have any Manhattan clam chowder? And I think the guy was like, that's trash. He was almost like, we don't have that on the
broth
menu.
clam chowder. What
Why
are
would
we,
you do that?
assholes?
Yeah. So then they bring you the Rhode Island clam chowder. It is like, it looks like chicken soup. It's fucking unbelievable. It's so fucking good. I like it better than New England clam chowder. And I said that immediately, and the waiter did not care. He had heard that 1,000 fucking times, and he just wanted a nice tip, so he gave me extra oyster crackers. And so you got to check that out.
I will.
And then, of course, also, there is the breakfast buffet at the Foxy Lady, Fridays, legs and eggs.
Really?
Oh, they used to do that at my strip club when I was a DJ.
Breakfast.
Oh, really? It's great, right?
Yeah, they used to do it starting at 1 a.m. It was legs and eggs. And they would bring out
1 a.m. This opens Friday. These girls only do this shift on a Friday. Can't pull a double. Starts at 6 a.m. Okay. People kept telling me about it. I think we went to the Foxy Lady once before. I don't know what it was, but people kept saying it. And then I started joking with people and being like, well, I got to get up early on Friday for the Foxy Lady, right? And people be like, have you been? It's amazing. All kinds. And then I was like, okay, this is a hipster 20-year-old girl or whatever. Maybe I get it. Maybe she thinks it's ironic to. So finally, me and my buddy, CJ Sullivan, who's also got a really funny gambling podcast right now. But CJ and I went, we said, all right, we got to go. So we went, and like, it's fucking amazing. Like, they kind of mentioned it, but it wasn't. You go, it's like a very nice hotel breakfast. They have a whole kitchen staff. They're grilling. They do an omelet bar. Yeah, that's fine. But they're doing like 5 different types of sausages, applewood smoked, bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches, all this stuff. So you go and you have this amazing breakfast, and then you go and sit and eat it while these women with incredibly long legs dance. It was just unbelievable.
Really, full nude or topless?
It was fully nude, I think.
That's
I got to tell you, I
fantastic.
wasn't looking at the pussies. Those fucking
Because I was
waffles
wrapped
were
up in
pretty
that
good.
Applewood.
I was even joking. I had
good sausage.
Applewood for the fucking,
He goes,
and
he goes, they had turkey bacon, bro.
it was pretty funny.
I'm talking
Glenn.
about the snatch. I'm talking about the sausage.
Yeah. And so then
Which thing? This?
Champagne.
I was too wrapped up in the breakfast. There's this girl with such a weird sensation of her shaking her tits right in front of me, and I was like eating sausage, and I was like, "Do you know? Is there maple syrup?" She's like, "Yeah." And, like,
Oh my god!
So it's a strange, but I talked to one of the girls for a while. It was really interesting because
I'm
that
gonna-
was her shift. She liked it.
I know you want to shift gears, but I have a question for you that I think.
I have so many.
It's funny. We just had Bargatze on Bonfire Day, and it's funny watching like one of my friends who like at a time even like opened for me on the road, being so like popular in the world he's in now, and you because of your acting stuff particularly are thrust into a Hollywood world in many situations. Do you have like your wackiest like celebrity girl like you thought maybe it could happen, or just like a wild like Holly? Because like it's so funny.
You mean like a celebrity crush?
You're not even crushed. I'm saying like you're a comic. Like I know you enough to know like your personality is comic.
Yeah.
You're still in it. You'll do the fucking SDR show. You'll come to Joe DeRosa's stupid birthday party. You know what I mean?
I fucking love that guy. But also, I'll do 5 sets on a Wednesday.
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. You're a comic. You're a comic for sure, first and foremost. But you're in a world of like
Thank you, man.
like high level like film and acting work. Yeah. And I'm like, because listening to Nate today, why I bring it up, like telling is this like Nate who used to like we just like would be at my house playing video games all day, broke together, and he's like, I did a benefit with the Who and Bruce Springsteen yesterday.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? And he's like, yeah, John Fogerty's really nice. And just like, Eddie Vedder's cool. And this thing like, what's the weirdest just like world you've been in where you're just like, what the fuck am I? Like
Well,
you feel
I thought
so out of place.
There's a couple. I do pretty well in most situations because I don't give a shit.
That's great.
And so
You're not worried about looking cool to anybody.
I don't think so. Maybe, no, not even to Kate. I don't think.
Even to your wife.
Not really. I don't. She was talking about this blue shirt.
But not even to her, but I'm saying if you're in a Hollywood, if Madonna's there.
Don't give a shit. In fact,
Don't
she
care.
kicked me and Kate out of our seats so that she could watch Dave Chappelle. And the amazing thing is Dave Chappelle then later would be like, what'd you think of that show? And I'm like, either Little John or Madonna kicked us out of seats. We didn't get to see it. We had to watch it from backstage. No, but with regards to that, I know you're talking about, I do have an absolute weirdest. But what I thought you were first saying was one time I was watching Scary Movie and I was like, oh my God, Anna Faris is so cute, but she's so fucking funny. And I was just looking at her performance like, the movie, it's funny, whatever. But she was so good and so good on film specifically, because sometimes people are really good on TV, but they're not good on film. Mm-hmm. Which is why her and Mom is really interesting because she figured out how to do that. But I was just in love with her in terms of, I couldn't believe that this girl. And so that was the only celebrity crush I ever had in my life. And then as a joke, I auditioned for Yogi Bear 3D. And then
As a joke?
And then I sent this, you guys are both like this. So I kind of had intel on the inside and I sort of knew it was going well, but it didn't matter. I sent an audition to the casting and to the producers and everything because I had a callback being like, can you just tell them, I told my agents this. Agents always kind of don't like me, but I keep paying the money, getting the money.
You get work.
And so that's what it is. And so, because I think I do stuff where they're like, this just isn't real. And so I said, I'm going to tell them I have
Is this the one where you're in a cage with a bear?
So yes, marshmallow,
Yeah.
supplemental materials. Tell them what's going to be. And I rented a grizzly bear and I did the audition with the bear. And I totally was like, this is me and it's me and the bear. And I'm like doing my half of it and then kind of getting upset that he's like, nah, we talked. Right? Okay, I'm going to do the line again. Guys, and it's a fucking, it's like, just insane.
I thought it was fake, and I looked up. It is actually real.
100% real. And so I'd send stuff like that. So I got the part. It's very funny. I guess they gave it a casting, then the producers, and then they sent it to Alan Horn, who at the time was the head of Warner Brothers. And he doesn't laugh at anything. And he didn't laugh at this, but he was like, you know what? That kid's funny. Put him in the movie. So then we were like working out the details or something. I was talking to my agent and I said, well, this and this, and how long will he be out there? And I don't really know the guy, Tom Cavanaugh. She's like, well, it's nobody. I mean, you know, and it's Andy Daly. And I was like, oh, he's fucking hilarious. And she's like, and then it's just Anna Faris. And I go, what? And she goes, well, it's Anna Faris is going to be the lead female. I was like, oh, all right, well, I'll tell him I'll do it. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it shifted my world because I was going to meet this girl. And then there was that lead up kind of that was like, is she going to suck? Right. It's that never meet your heroes thing. Is she going to be amazing? Never like, oh, what'll I say to her? So I was just like, what will this be like? Because it's such a mind fuck. Everybody kind of has that, but then this was going to really. And the first time we hung out while we were filming the movie,
you fucked.
You could tell that she was trying to figure out if I was cool. So then I was like, oh, it's the same thing. And I had already started to learn that. But in movies, especially movie stars, it's kind of a like, are you a cool one? Like, are you actually a cool person? Or are you a psycho?
You've had a bunch because it said, and there's ones that are like, people have those questions about. You had to work close with Mark Wahlberg.
And he's a buddy too.
Rules.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? He's like,
no, I don't know what I'm saying, but you're saying like he rules.
He's the best, and
great,
and he's fascinating, and he's super like, yeah, he's just really interesting. He's very smart.
You were close to Bieber for a while too, weren't you? Or am I wrong?
No, I mean, yeah. He asked me to be in he was going to do an animated series, and he wanted Chappelle to be in all. He's really interesting too.
Hey guys, real quick, let's talk about one of our amazing sponsors over here at the SDR Show. Of course, that is RockAuto.com. In business for 20 years, and the most reliable prices and in-stock car parts in the car park game. It's pretty amazing, everybody. The car market is hot right now, and whether you're a mechanic or somebody just a hobbyist working on your car at home, or which is such a masculinity that I don't possess.
Maybe you're about to do whippets, and you think, what could go in my car?
Yeah, what could I do? There's probably something I can do whippets out of that's available at RockAuto.com. You could probably do any kind of drug out of some auto part. Go check it out, everyone. RockAuto.com, they make it easy with every part you need at extremely low prices. Go to RockAuto.com if you're looking for auto parts. Again, you could be a hobbyist. You could be a mechanic. It doesn't matter. Same prices. There's not even a promo code. That's how good the prices are. All we ask is that when you go there, there's a checkout box where you can type in the SDR Show. Let them know you heard from them. You heard about them from us.
Let me just say one thing. I want you, which I never got. As this is one of, I don't think they're going to be a sponsor much longer.
Why?
It's a long story. Inside baseball story.
They're racists.
But I never understood that second to last sentence from starting with "and." Just read it verbatim.
They're kidding. They plugged in a little copy joke and let them know we sent you by at checkout. Yell at them, and I know about this from SDR Show podcast. Kidding. There's a box to put it in our show name. Yeah.
I never loved
They're
that.
foreign. That's why the prices are cheap. It's coming straight from China. Oh, let them know we sent you. Check out. Yell at them. I know about this from SDR Podcast. Kidding.
You should be kidding.
Box in our show name. One more time, everybody. It's rockauto.com. You know about them. All the auto parts you need. Amazing prices. No promo code. Check them out. rockauto.com. Let's get back into it.
I'm going to switch gears just because there's so much to talk to, and we've already been through fucking 40 minutes already.
I'll tell you the real story, though.
Please.
So this is in my forthcoming special, but I'll truncate it. So I was doing Ready Player One, and Steven Spielberg was the director, and he would all the time, if he didn't quite get a shot, it was always the shot, not the performance, he would operate the camera actually himself, which a lot of directors don't do. Bay does that for sure. And so if he couldn't get it then when he was operating it, he would go, I think this is a Cheetos moment. And it's all real. And a little PA would run over with a bag of Cheetos, crunchy Cheetos, sometimes an A&W root beer. So now you can already see why I'm in this situation. Be like,
what?
Is this for my benefit that you guys are fucking? Is this some Truman Show shit? But it would happen. It happened several times. And I thought it was so funny, and I would make fun of him. You know, I think that's another thing is like I will make fun of everybody I'll scream at Michael Bay. I'll make fun. Wahlberg. All the time, Wahlberg would be like, see, this is what happens. He gets drunk. And then he starts making fun of me. And I was like, yeah, because you're a king. And I'm a jester. And that's my job. And I always said with the bells. And it was great because he loved being called a king. And that's what I was making fun of. I mean, everybody likes being called a king if you're in movies, but it's like so funny.
He enjoys it.
I mean, he is kind of a king among.
Can't argue.
And so
to come from a punchline of music to being a highly accredited actor,
it's crazy.
Pretty insane.
And bouncing back from going to prison and being a very important producer. And I always talk about how he shapes culture. He's kind of a futurist. The Winklevoss twins are like that. It's very futurist. Anyway, so Steven Spielberg, we're talking and Ben Mendelsohn, and then he goes, I think this is a Cheetos moment. I go, oh, Steven Spielberg's having a Cheetos moment. Guys, let's get the Cheetos. We're doing crunchy, no puffy, not puppy. You know that. And then he kind of is laughing and he goes, do you want some Cheetos? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm not going to pass up the chance to have Cheetos with Steven Spielberg. And I always call him Steven Spielberg. And he'd be like, you don't have to say my last name.
Say Steven Spielberg.
Like, yeah, just say Steven. And
that was a Metzger thing always. Call everybody by their full. Hey, David Tell.
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
It's so funny, though. It's so funny. So I love that. So I said, yeah, of course, I'm not going to pass up a moment to eat Cheetos with Steven Spielberg. And they bring over the Cheetos. And we're eating and talking about this movie that he loves called Witness for the Prosecution. And there's like a pause. And I think we're both thinking of what to talk about next, And then he takes some Cheetos from his bag and he slowly, silently just puts them in my bag. And I didn't know what to do, but instinctually, I think I could feel like this is maybe the weirdest moment that's ever going to happen in my life. I, without saying anything, took some Cheetos out of my bag and put them in his bag. And then Steven Spielberg looks at me and goes, there, now we're Cheetos brothers. And he walked away. I think that's the story you're looking for.
Yeah, that is
a great story.
I don't think that's Dan Fogelberg, who's actually pretty good. It is.
You're not wrong.
The strangest thing.
Can I say that, like,
and he mentioned it later.
And maybe I said I don't know.
Cheetos Bros, by the way, good T-shirt.
It's a great.
Would
shirt.
be a good T-shirt.
I have a question.
Chesters.
My question I'm curious to know is because, and I think I admire this greatly, is your looseness in the world of like Hollywood and the acting stuff is because. What is the celebrity through the acting gravy to what you thought your entertainment career was going to be? Because I didn't think past stand-up comedy, and then you end up getting in things, or you kind of have to audition, or a TV show's your thing. Was your passion comedy, and like holy shit, now I'm in movies? Or were you acting first?
I heard Patton Oswalt say one time, like, they don't understand. We do the movies to get people to go to the stand-up, not the stand-up to get people to movies. And my relationship with all that has changed. I think Hollywood is really fun when you're like suddenly at Michael Bay's housewarming and on the way over, Kate and you were like, all right, this is going to be weird. Here's what, and the Oscars and all that stuff is really, really fun. But your relationship changes with it. But I think always I thought, and Cash actually said this to me one time, but I thought that if I did a great enough body of work in Hollywood, then that would translate to success in stand-up, and it did. But now I'm having a problem, I wouldn't say problem, maybe an existential kind of crisis with the stand-up, which is a bunch of things, but the main things are, I talked to Mark Norman about this, he's like, nah, man. I may have done too much acting to become this great stand-up comic that I wanted to be. I may have just taken too many man hours and put it towards acting. So although that does make people come and see me do stand-up and love me as a comedian, I also taught them by being in so many movies and on a couple of TV shows, but really a TV show that they love, that everyone is kind of like, you're such a great actor, man. You're so funny. And I'm like, well, you see my stand-up. And now in a lot of people's minds, especially my fans even, are like, yeah, your stand-up's really good, but man, I just love you in Office Christmas Party. You can be in Deadpool 3. So it's kind of, it's created this problem I never
somewhere.
could have imagined. But I just, from the beginning and always, I was like, I'm just a comedian.
But you can't.
So stand-up is one part of it, acting, voiceover. I've done
But
a lot of voiceover.
you're organically funny. You didn't learn to be funny for the sake of doing stand-up coming from acting. You're organically funny and you know how to be funny.
Well, I started as a comic. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So the beauty is like what, you know, even from what I've watched of like your comedy so far, which is great, very, very funny. Like you have so much more to explore, like still in stand-up. Like you can. Of course you can. You can become that.
Well, and also
you can, whatever it is, your vision of, you know what I mean? Like, I'd say you're already a great comic, but whatever your vision of what your greatness is to that, like, it's great that it's not there yet. It's a bet. If everyone, so I say, if you believe your own hype, that everyone's like, dude, you're a fucking great comic. You're like, am I great yet? I hope not, because I think my next thing is going to be like, I hope I figure out some nuance or some new thing.
No, that's why I like stand-up. People will say,
yeah,
what do you like better? And I always say, I like them all. It's just all comedy.
Norman's not wrong in my point of what he's saying. In a less autistic way, I'm saying, that he's absolutely right. He goes, you have comedy. A life experience only gives you a whole new world to explore of like your personal reflection.
That's why I like stand-up, and I'll say this all the time. It's like, acting is not as interesting. Stand-up is always interesting, and all the acting that I've done, luckily, and definitely all the voiceover, is really interesting. But none of it is like I left Silicon Valley because I was starting to go on autopilot, and it's not good for me, but more importantly, it's not good for the audience. But I'd gotten to a point where I was like, my character smokes weed all the time, but I easily could have just gotten high and done the exact same caliber of work. I was just showing up,
you
learning
need the
lines
effort
beforehand. Yeah, and stand-up is never like that. I've never phoned in a stand-up set.
Listen, guys, I got to move this along.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm so sorry.
So no worries. So A, we have like 10 topics to hit with him we haven't touched yet. And B, this is supposed to be the Whippet Show.
It is.
And we got to do
Get
that
in here,
too.
Tom.
Tom, where are you? I don't know how to do this.
He's just out there
Tom will
doing
show you.
whippets.
Tom's going to show us. And then I want to talk about his comedy special. I want to talk about SKNK Fest. But I also want to start off with this whole thing came about, go back 3 or 4 years ago. There was a weird Legion TJ non-talk that I just don't even know what really happened. I don't know the story. And we talked about it over dinner.
All the fans of Legion of Skanks,
Tom,
whenever I meet them, and not all, whenever I meet them, I'd say like every third huge Legion of Skanks fan. Do you call them Skanks?
Yeah.
Sure.
I love that. Sure. Call them whatever.
What happened?
Degenerates.
He also knocked it
It's
completely.
absolute disasters.
Mom basementers.
Take your mom down.
Meanwhile, Shannon,
I call them also Insane Clown Posse
Tom
fans.
comes on the show once and he
And
immediately
also
knocks the camera
insane clown posse.
out. So wait, before you get into the story.
Oh, you're talking about the ping pong.
Yeah, but before,
so
don't
they
say
come
anything
and say
yet.
it.
Don't say anything yet.
All right.
Tom, get us loaded with these because we've never done whippets
Here,
before.
I'll load 'em.
We haven't done drugs on the show. We did a drug a year.
I can't.
We did a drug a year for 5 years.
While he's loading us up, I can explain the thing you're talking about
do
with
it.
Skanks. It was pretty funny. Also, the trajectory of the person who it was.
Are you
Tom, by the way.
Are you going first?
Me and Jay, we're gonna do a
You're gonna
shit.
go
I have
first?
multiple balloons.
The cool thing about what we're talking about. You know what, TJ? You'll appreciate where this has come. So it was.
No, strike two.
What's happening?
It was the Olympics.
You're gonna hit it straight on.
I don't think it's going to
If Tom's going to be on camera, he has to get closer to
Tom,
you.
get
and
closer
talk
to the
into
mic. No one's
as you're
hearing.
talking.
This is a TJ and Tom conversation right now, Shannon. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
I'll tell you what's happening.
lower.
So we were having the intern Olympics, Ralph.
Now you just hit
Is
it.
it going to stay in there, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got
yeah.
it. You got it.
Internal,
we need a balloon.
we were having the intern Olympics. 2 of the contestants in the intern Olympics that year, Mike Harrington and Alex.
Hold on a second. If they fill the balloons, that way Jay and I can do it at the same time.
Yeah.
TJ, these guys are nerds, so we have
that
to
way
do
Jay
it.
and I
You
can
can do it. I want to hear this.
I would do it right from the cracker.
No,
So
but we do it that way. I don't want to make everyone fill
got you.
2 of them. Fill 2 of them.
Mike Harrington and Alex Scalata both contests in the intern Olympics.
Okay.
We were making them do it. And nice.
It's just like the Phillies.
You can make that so much bigger, Ralph.
I'll hold it.
So
I can
much
hold it.
bigger.
You got it.
I'll hold it. That's fine.
So what happened was, TJ was playing ping. He's very good friends with Rebecca, and he came and did the show for a little bit. And he went out there and he was playing pinball. And Lewis,
But he did the show first.
did the show first for a little bit, yeah. so funny.
Which was a terrible experience.
I love this, by the way. This makes me laugh.
Why was it a terrible experience?
I don't know. I actually feel terrible about that because I thought it was fun having DJ on. But this is what's hilarious. Rebecca is a producer through and through, and she's
looks ridiculous.
For Jay.
She's literally a sister to me.
Yeah,
Hold on, what's happening here?
She's amazing.
Yeah, Rebecca Trent. Fucking
This doesn't
rules.
look right.
Yeah, why? Put more in here.
Slow it down. Well, keep telling your story. We'll get you a good one, Jay.
Okay.
I love this.
But I will say, Tom's great.
Coming in with sass.
Straight Philly, dog.
It's not going so well.
So, this is what's funny what's going on with the show. Now, and we found this out when we told the story together on stage once for the worst. So funny. So Rebecca came to us, said TJ would love to jump on the show. He, he's in town and he would love to come on. Now, to Legion of Skanks particularly, we're all like, that's fucking awesome. Hell yeah, TJ's coming on. That's great. She told TJ, she said TJ wanted to come on. She told TJ that it would mean the world to us if
That's exactly what happened.
She pitched it to us like he was stoked to come on.
Exactly what
she
happened.
pitched it to him like these guys would be stoked to have you. Now she's not wrong.
So funny.
Right.
She's not wrong, but everyone just had the wrong impression.
That makes perfect sense because I remember the energy in the beginning where I was like, all right, I'll sit down. And there's something about the energy that now makes perfect sense that you guys were like, hey, welcome.
Yeah,
man.
we're like,
Thanks
you're a big
for
fan. What do you want to talk about?
And then I was like, okay, these guys really want to talk to me. Now the biggest problem is I hadn't really heard or didn't really know that much about you guys. But I had just gotten so fucking high because Rebecca smokes a lot of weed and great weed. And I was so high. And I was like, all right, I absolutely, this is going to be chill. These guys smoke a lot of weed. And I went in, and because of that energy, and it was weird, we all know this, when you're high and you enter a room, you're really high when you're really, really high.
Packed audience, by the way, of a small room, but I mean, 25 people in this basement.
The energy was weird. Suddenly I got weird and was like, why am I on this thing? Why are they? I guess they're making fun of me. Now we're on the whole thing.
So no one knew exactly what to do.
That's yours, TJ.
Give it to Jay.
I have two.
Oh,
He's going to. I can't.
He's going to do something else.
Give me those crappy ones and you take
I'm going to bring it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to bring the next drug out.
Yeah, we're doing multiple drugs.
All right, so Ralph has never done this.
I've never done. So put a button on this.
I'll put a button on this, then we can go all drugs.
Yeah. No, we also got to talk about the special, which I watched also. But do
Fair.
this first.
Yeah.
But then, so what's funny was, so TJ then goes out and he's playing pinball, because Creek had this awesome pinball thing, and then Lewis just said, not thinking it would actually happen, when I think it was like a tie or something like for the Inter Olympics that day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tie. It was down to I believe. Whatever the case, whether it was a tie or not, it was brought up to a thing like, you win if you go out there and unplug TJ's pinball machine.
Which I don't remember.
But let me ask you this, though.
And then Harrington crawled under the machines and unplugged it. It didn't make, as it shouldn't have, it made no sense to TJ.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe he did it. The whole thing was wild. But fast forward to that story, for all the wackiness of that day, Alex Scarlato, who was an Intern Olympics contestant, is now one of the main producers here at Gas Digital.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mike Harrington has worked here forever also. And Mike Harrington and Alex are pregnant and engaged now.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
To one another?
Yeah, first Gas Digital baby.
That's insane.
Wow.
Where are your
proposed
balloons?
at
How are your balloons saying? Oh, you got
proposed at SKNK Fest.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Which by the way,
Really?
yeah, at this
That's
past one.
great.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
That must feel so good.
It really did. I'm telling you,
exciting.
they
That's
told. I
amazing.
remember them pulling me aside a few weeks before it became public, and they were like, "We're pregnant."
Yeah,
And
it's
I was
pretty
like,
wild.
we wanted to tell you because, like, the whole
And
everybody
also-
comes to work here because of like us. They
At
wanna, work with
the studio used to be in my house, and we're going back now 5 years ago. I came home one day, and they were secretly like, I guess, fucking
yeah,
on my
they're fucking
couch
a little bit.
And I came, the elevator open. They're like, "Hey, no, nothing's going on." And then now they're fucking. They both had other relationships, and now they're together.
Digital baby.
All right.
This smoke break is brought to you by YoDelta.com, the official Getting High sponsor of the Gas Digital Network.
So you have something else you're going to bring on with you?
Yeah, right after this.
Okay, so
But
this...
let's start here. So you've never done nitrous?
Never.
I used to do nitrous so much that when Steve-O and I talked about it, we really had a connection. It was really clear that he was like, I see, you did as much nitrous
Am I
as
supposed
me.
Did you watch Steve-O's third Don't Try This at Home special? Because I thought that was one of the most vulnerable
No.
things. I couldn't believe you put it out. It shows him like on meth, like freaking out about his mom
I have
passing
seen that.
away. That's
Exactly.
like fucking
And
whack.
he
Am I
was
supposed to
fishing
just-
out from this, and he said he would have. I bet he spent $100,000 on Whippets.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he said that he was like, "So did you fish out?" And I was like, "No, I mean I got really good at it, you know." And he was like, "Really? Because that's all I wanted. I just wanted to fish out." Fishing
does that
out won't happen to you, but if you do too much nitrous, you'll convulse, lose consciousness.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
And
I guess if
literally
it does,
like a
this
fish.
episode will go viral. What? Just breathe it in like I'm breathing in.
So you breathe
But
it
you have
in,
to
here's-
inhale.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would imagine.
Breathe it in. What if he did it like a cigar?
Is Ralph want a bigger one? Ralph, do you want
He's
a bigger
blowing
one?
rings.
No,
Everyone's
that's
like,
good
it
enough.
doesn't have any color to it.
He just blows. He goes, I just swirl it. I get the flavor.
That's a nice bouquet.
So you'll take it all the way in
Oh, this
because
is
it's
funny.
your first time.
Yeah.
Just breathe it in and breathe it out. Don't hold it in.
Okay, breathe it
And
in.
you're gonna
breathe it
get
out.
So
if you get enough,
explain
it'll
him what
go
he's gonna get.
Wong, 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 wong. But that's only if he has enough. If you just breathe in and breathe out.
Yeah, you
you'll
should've made
sort
these
of feel
bigger, dude.
Is
pretty
this not big enough?
fucking-
You should've made these a little
You'll
bigger.
feel pretty high.
This is about the same size as that.
Or
So
do you
that
want to
one-
do you want to do it slowly or just fucking go
I
for
just
it?
go for it. So is this
All right,
not?
so-
Is not enough?
But you
No, that's gonna be great for
suck
you.
that all in.
Okay.
Suck it all in and then hold it, and then when you start to feel then
Blow
blow
it
it
and
out.
how long do we say it lasts?
And then immediately
minute.
start talking. Immediately.
No,
Not
30
even a
seconds.
minute.
Oh yeah,
Not
your
even a
voice is
minute.
gonna go.
Which is the
My
best
voice
part.
is already
I got
so
pulled
deep.
over
Jay,
by a
you're doing
cop
it with
once.
me, or am I going? Then you're going.
I think we should go one at a
One
time.
of you
but I'll
want a
do it
bigger?
with you.
Jay, do you want a bigger one? I got
fine,
one
it's
more.
fine.
All right, and then you have
I haven't
something.
done this
This would
in
be so
years, so
fun. Yeah, I can't do it.
No, not this.
I
What
know.
did you bring though?
Kinnick.
Kinnick is something else.
I'll try it.
It's much
let's do
more
this first.
primitive.
Here we go, Jay. This is the first drug in 2 years on the show.
Cheers.
Glad you're here with
Tom,
us, TJ.
cheers. Look, Tom's going big.
Tom's going big. Bobby, you want some of this shit?
Bobby,
Bobby,
take
come
this
on,
one.
dude.
Bobby, take
Bobby.
this
Bobby.
Bobby, quit
one. No,
being
he's
a
not going
bitch.
to take it just off camera.
Get high
rid
for a
of
minute.
this. Oh,
Take
it
this one.
fell
But I'll
off
take that
camera.
one. I'll take that one.
All right, guys. Ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Bobby.
No, Tom.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yo.
Holy shit, that's nuts. That is so ridiculous. Jesus Christ.
How does it feel?
It feels wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Wonky. A little lightheaded wonky.
You still have a deep voice.
Yeah, I mean, my deep voice, that's crazy.
But that'll go away soon, which is really weird too.
Yeah, that's weird. That is weird.
What do you think? How did you like it?
That is weird. It reminds me, I feel numb everywhere.
Great.
It reminds me of going to the dentist's office. That's what I feel like right now.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, when you're at the dentist's office and everything feels cool, everything feels fine. That's what it feels like to me.
So if you're real,
I could see why
It
this
feels
fe-
like people's voices are loud but
but
soft.
it feels like, oh, I could see. This is the first.
and
Dude,
you
it
laugh,
feels like
and
it feels like your
shit is
words are
funny.
punching me in the chest.
This is what I would say. This is the first drug I've done on the show where I'd say, oh, yeah, I get why people like this.
Yeah, dude. It
Really?
seems like you're
Yeah.
screaming at me
It's
inside
great.
of a metal tunnel.
It feels wild.
There's no other way to describe it.
I would even do another hit of it. That's,
That's
how
dead
much I
on.
like that.
That's
I'm
dead
sure-
on.
Load 'em
here's-
up, dude.
Here's the problem with it.
Tom,
It's amazing and it doesn't last long.
Tom,
It's wild.
it's so fast.
And
It'll be
so-
over in less
and
than a
there's
minute.
nothing else like that. You cannot get drunk and
That's
be
not enough.
sober
That's not enough.
even 5 hours later.
No.
Load it
But
up,
this
dude.
is gone. I used to have a joke where I talk about
Ralph might get a problem with this because
mean,
it
this
really
is the
does
first thing-
last. Ralph, at its worst, it's under 2 minutes.
But by
and
the
you
way,
can get it everywhere in New York
it
City.
reminds me so much.
It is currently available
I
everywhere.
bought this on the corner. I
You
bought
can get
it
it
on
at
the
a
corner.
fucking library
This
in New
was
York
$30.
City.
this
It's
is at a
$30.
deli, dude.
Yeah, seriously. It's
Wow.
so unbelievable.
It reminds me. Now it's gone. It's gone now. But I remember.
Completely.
I'm about 20 seconds behind you, and mine's almost winding
it
down.
feels like when I was
Isn't
at a
that
dentist's
crazy?
office, and I was
Winding.
happy at a dentist's office. Before I do the next one, I just want to bring this on topic. Okay, I watched the Jonah special. It's called "Thank You, Jonah." Right?
Dear Jonah.
Dear Jonah. Okay. So first question: did you know it's all crowd work for the most part? Special.
Yeah, there's
right.
there's a through line that I think you'll think it's really interesting because there's a through line where this guy heckles me. And here, ask your question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So he is a mentally challenged individual,
The heckler.
sitting in the
Nice.
front row.
This is amazing.
And what's wild is you
It's
obviously.
by the way, I know Ralph's not a comic, but I say this thing. As I already hear that, I go, hard waters to navigate. But if you hit that sweet spot, it's a homer.
And also,
I
by the
can't
way,
wait
it's a
till you see
grand
the
slam.
special.
Yeah,
also, by the way, a super hot blonde right behind him too, which is
I
interesting.
know people say that. I was not as focused on her
I imagine.
as getting
But
this correct.
At firstly, it's interesting because he shits on him immediately, but then becomes hyper aware, like, oh, this guy is mentally challenged.
Because I thought he was just some
Right,
drunk
just some
asshole.
drunk asshole.
Second show, Nashville. It could be a disaster. I go, look, if I end up having a riff, then we'll have it. We'll have social stuff, whatever. But if they get fucking crazy, I'm in a riff, and the director's like, please don't. We don't have it from the first show. And I was like, this is Nashville. So we go out there and immediately, I love this. Right. That's also breathing in and out. That's part of it. So
Is
that
that
you're
part
not
breathing in?
wasting.
Oh,
You're
that's
not wasting.
yeah.
It. But once you get good at it, dentist's office is a 70-30 split nitrous to oxygen. So you would breathe and then breathe in oxygen and then breathe and kind of do a 70-30 on that. And then you get closer to what you're talking about from the dentist's office.
Okay.
But if you want to go wah, wah, wah and have this situation.
Tom might
oh my God, he's gonna die.
No, it's so.
You zoom in on Tom, he just did.
Tom, if you don't die, could you load me up one?
Wow. Okay, so he's mentally challenged.
So I'm going like this. I'm like, it feels great.
Bring
right?
this to Philly on Thanksgiving, Tom, please.
Jay, every day of
Yeah,
the week
yeah,
on
for sure.
Thanksgiving.
Microphone.
Microphone, you fucking idiot. Continue.
He's fine.
Continued.
So, I figured this could be I get out there immediately. It's the best audience. I'm shooting. I know it. I go, I can't believe this, but it kind of makes sense. This is going to be, so I'm doing it. And the special, I'm almost taken aback at how good the audience is. And then some fucking drunk in the front row is like, that's good. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, just ignore him. But then he keeps heckling and he does like a weird.
He says something
No, he says stuff like this. He's like, that's true. And I agree. That's hilarious. And it's like this thing where you're like, he's drunk and he's forgotten everybody else in the room is there. He's just talking to me. So I ask him about his cargo pants. He does this really
really long answer
long detailed
about what he
answer
stores in his cargo
that
pants.
he doesn't. He likes cargo pants. He doesn't carry anything in them, but they feel good, and so he just wears them all the time. And I was like, this guy is mentally challenged. He's not
He
drunk
says
at
a
all.
great line,
There's
which is, you
no
know what?
part of him that's drunk. This is a completely different situation than I thought. And so I deal with it.
But what you say, by the way, what I like is that just so everyone knows I'm going to handle this the right way or something along those lines.
I just want you guys to know that I am not going to make fun of him
that's
at
what
all. And that got them because there's so much tension because everybody heard him and they're like, what is this guy going to do? He's the guy that makes fun of Deadpool.
Right,
He's
right.
the guy from Silicon Valley that's always making fun of everyone. So did that. And then he interrupts again and I incorporate him. And then it happens again, and then slowly the show becomes about him, and kind of
And the guy behind them too, which is kind of funny.
and Trevor. Right? But you have to have a villain.
Yeah,
And so it was like it's the craziest thing.
it's a super enjoyable thing to watch how it started with not being a crowd work special, really, and then immediately
all.
becomes a crowd work show because of Jonah and Trevor.
And I really there's 20. How many people do you think you know that can just improvise or do crowd work like Attell or Todd Barry or Ian Bagg, Cash Levy I'd put up there?
I mean, there's 10 people.
Maybe 20 nationwide.
Yeah, 20. But as far as the people that I know that I've watched do it, and I'm like, damn, dude, they're quick. The quickness is what's most impressive. It's more because I think anyone who's funny, comedically, the reason they became funny had nothing to do with the written word. It was always being funny in life.
There's some writers that
So
had
I
to
think-
learn to be performers.
Sure, for sure. But I'm saying for the people that I was always drawn to, it was people who were funny first,
Yeah, and then
found the
figured out how to
writing
write a
second.
joke.
Found the writing second. Yeah, so so as far as that goes, I think so many comics can do crowd work, but people that stand out to me, someone who can make something layered off the cuff is pretty interesting.
And
Where a story
so-
builds, and that's why I said 10 people that I could think of that I'd be they're really good at that.
So I wondered about what you would do in this because I knew of you, but hadn't seen you live. I was talking to Ralph about this, that in New York City, if you're a guy who's doing sets all the time, it's it's really just luck that you see somebody else.
Sure.
Like I've seen Mark Norman 50 times. I've only seen Joe List twice.
Sure.
It's just that's what's happening. But then one night at the stand, I was like, it worked out. I was going to stay. And I watched your set, and I didn't realize you were that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I do. And so then, of course, everything shifted. Because when you meet a comic, we were talking about this, when you meet a comic, it's like a New Yorker. This is my opinion. When you meet somebody in New York, and like I'm a New Yorker, you start at a level of respect. Because you're like, okay, if you can do this, then you're a certain level of person. And then when you meet a stand-up comedian, it's the same thing. If someone's like, I'm a comic, even if it's a young comic, you're like, okay, well, you're a certain kind of person. It takes some. But then when I saw that you're an improviser, that you do that, and you do it as quickly as you do, then I was then it just shifts again. Because there's only like, I think there's like 20, 25 people that can do that. And
There's a lot of comics out there.
And so, yeah, no shit. But it's a really specific thing. And with Dear Jonah, I was like, I wonder what you would do. If you watch it, I'd love to hear like what you would have done, because I think it would have been similar. You're not a guy who would make fun of him and be like, look at this.
Jay, by the way, Jay,
After I watch something, I'll do your podcast and we'll talk about it. It'll be fun.
For sure.
Jay is first and foremost like a good dude. That's the thing about Jay.
Well, I think that's why it works.
That's why it works. Yeah, that's why I think.
No, for sure. The insult comic thing is such a weird moniker for me, because I do crowd work, but like my thing is always like, if I'm tearing down, it's the guy who's killing it, and I build up the geek.
Yeah,
like,
you have to.
It's always that thing. It's like build up the geek. And by the way, there's humor still in calling him the geek. Like you're still acknowledging him.
Yeah,
so
because
you can still make the geek jokes, but at the same time you're like, but you're getting laid tonight, dude.
But-
Like,
also,
if
by
it's
the
up
way-
to me, you're getting laid.
And
tonight.
also, I've made you look so cool to this girl that is friend zoning you that she's going to be like, whoa, actually, he was like,
Yeah, he's pretty
that's
awesome.
fun. Why don't I
actually.
just give him a.
I mean, before
what's
we-
it going to do to me
But
if
you
I
know,
let him have
again,
sex with me
this is
tonight?
the sad sack of the world, and this is the boo-hoo me
But
thing.
you can't. Sorry.
Well, I'll
go
say
ahead.
this is the boo-hoo me of that. Like, 'cause that's like a go-to I'd go to. I'm like, come on, this guy, like, what do you mean he's your buddy? I watched him just throw his credit card down for all these drinks and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And then if I put a post of that, by the fourth comment, it's already like, do you think if a guy buys a woman a meal, like she owes him, and you're like, oh man, you're making this so gross. Like, it's just dumb crowd work, man. Like,
Well, and also
they're
you're
making
trying
it
to
so-
help this guy out.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to get
That's
him
what I'm not
laid.
talking about.
Before
like,
we do the next
the
quick question,
patriarchy.
how long did you actually work on getting good at a nose flute?
It came pretty naturally.
Okay.
To be honest with
I'm
you.
sorry. All right, JJ, round two. Ready?
Cheers.
Wait, now hold on. Are you going to do the breathe in, breathe out thing?
Yeah, let's
I
do
think
that.
you
I'll
have
try
to.
to
In,
do that.
in and out of into this.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
we'll try.
But listen, as soon as it starts being like,
Let
whoa,
go.
then stop
Okay.
doing it.
All right.
This is why it's not addictive physically, but it's addictive because you're like, well, I'll just do another.
TJ, it's so much fun, right, TJ?
It's amazing.
It's just the fun of it is the best part.
It is a really fun one. But you know what? After you do it for like 5-10 years, it diminishing. But I had a moment, like we went to the award show. I think I won an award. And Kate and I were in the Bel Air Hotel, and we just got so many whippets. Yeah.
Wow.
And we woke up the next day, and it was just, there were hundreds, maybe thousands. Actually, there were thousands of whippets we had done the night before. Thousands.
I went on a date with a girl.
We got them in the 100 packs.
Wow.
What's this?
It's
50?
50. I went on a
20.
No, I went on a date with a girl.
0.
And it's 20. And she bought this on our way home, and she just sat on the couch and just did them all and then
Yep.
passed out. That's crazy.
Pretty fun. What'd you think of
If
that?
these aren't in
That's
the
much
green
more
room
intense.
at
Much more
Helium in Philadelphia,
And it's lasting
Thanksgiving
longer.
weekend, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at Helium, Philadelphia. If these aren't in the green room, dude, you failed.
Let me
Jay,
say this.
I feel like you and I are having a conversation between you and I, and Ralph is my boss, and he's sitting right next to me.
Like I
And
would
it's just-
care.
It's this conversation. It's so many worlds going on.
Here's the weird
It's
thing.
the greatest thing of all time.
It's the first drug I've done. It's the first drug I've done on the show where I'm like, yeah, I get it. I fucking get it.
Now do you see why I love
Because,
it?
dude,
Yeah.
there's no repercussion.
No, I'm sure there is.
Jay,
Oh, listen, you shouldn't do this every day. It'll fuck your brain up. That's what I'm saying if it won't even happen this much, but if twice a year you're in a situation to do whippets, if you go to a concert and outside of that concert they're giving out whippets and you did it, you'd be like, why not?
James Mattern-
In 5 minutes, it's absolutely over.
We had Fun Loving Criminals on the show today. We taped it with James Mattern at the Ween concert he was at last night. they were selling
Dean
whippets.
Ween, bro.
Of course.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Every concert I've ever been to.
Every concert
I
is
can tell
primarily
you
women with
where
hairy
on the way
armpits and
out of-
pussies.
Shannon,
Whippets.
I know you're not going to do it because I know you're
Shannon,
against it.
please.
But I will say this: you should do it.
Shannon, please.
fucking
Why
good.
won't you do it?
So
Thank you.
I'll tell you, he's exactly right. And I would try to do a joke where I was like, if you got pulled over and you were doing a whippet, and the cop's like, "Are you under the influence?" You literally could be like,
Your body
well,
will snap.
Well, officer, I got to tell you that basically the situation is that no, I'm not influenced anymore at all.
There's no line.
If you want
He
the
goes,
influence, you go, hang
Are
on a
you-
second.
Yeah. Are you profiling me because I happen to be a white fella?
There's no lying involved
Shannon, will you please
exactly
come take
it.
a
No,
seat
she
here
doesn't
and
want.
do
I know
one?
she won't. She won't. She
Why,
won't. talk
why
about it.
won't you?
I don't like that wah 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 feeling. I don't like that feeling.
She's
No,
it's
no,
a
I-
different
she doesn't
one.
want to.
It's for 10 seconds.
What'd you say, TJ?
Have you done it before?
I have not. No.
Shannon,
But
it's
I'm
so-
not
No, no,
really
no.
sure.
It's not
Guys,
that feeling.
I know she doesn't want to do it. We'll move on. I know she doesn't want to do it.
I don't-
It's fine.
I'm scared. I
Yeah,
don't
we're
Okay,
sorry
but
about
I'll tell you. So you see now how here's
can
the
see it.
only thing that it does not have going for it. It is incredibly fucking expensive. I think we were high on whippets at one point, and me and Kate or some friends, we did the math, and it's like much more
per
expensive
minute.
than
Yeah,
cocaine.
we're already on we're already on
Much.
chance
Oh, yeah.
or 10.
I've been
it
tearing
costs-
through this. I don't know how many's in this pack, but I've
20.
gone through like 50 of them.
No, 50.
It's
50.
Load me up, dude.
It costs. It's like $1 for.
Let me.
30
Jay, I'm
seconds.
throwing them on the
Saying-
ground left and right.
So listen, hold on a second.
Load me up.
Because we're running late, and Shannon lives in Staten Island, and with the show's been going on forever, we can't do much
I have to
more.
pack
of
and
this.
leave in the morning.
And you're leaving in the morning, and I will say this, TJ. The only thing I'm going to say, my one plea for you. Ready? Please come do a goddamn show on
whippets.
Gas Digital. Do a fucking show on Gas Digital.
I would love to do it. It is strictly
I know Cash
me
doesn't
doing
want to.
whippets.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Cash Levy, and I would love to
TJ,
have
I gotta
on
tell
my-
you, you really are in the
You're in the world.
you're in the orbit of Gas Digital.
were- at SKNK Fest, you killed it.
The fan base here. I mean, you have a large fan base. The fan base here would heavily embrace. They would love you.
I will say this, that Cash Levy, didn't feel like it was on brand. I'd love to have you on his podcast, but he has trouble getting guests, so I've been the only
He's the
guest
only
on
guest
the
for the last-
podcast for 7 years.
He has a lot of guests that were supposed to show up that have
ton of people, they just bail. They just bail so much. So the only one that's been on Cashing In with TJ Miller. But what Cash said to me that was really funny is he's like, I don't know if it's really on brand for you. And the thing is, right now, what I've really understood, you talk about Hollywood and how I'm starting to understand that, not even starting, I understand how you can't just not give a shit. It's very attractive to Hollywood, but if you actually don't give a fuck, if you're actually a nihilist,
They'll shoot you
that's
out.
just not okay.
Yeah.
It's just not okay because no one else is like that. And it doesn't, I mean, it's not that it doesn't matter. A big part of why I am the way I am is because I'm brain damaged. So I'm missing.
Right, and that story, by the way, which we talked over dinner, is a wild story that it did not get the negative parts of where things were going weird for you, and then they find out, the guy needs fucking brain surgery.
So I had brain surgery in 2010, and they took out a golf ball sized piece of my right frontal lobe. So I didn't like to talk about it for a long time, not because I was like, I didn't want to. It just, my brain still worked.
Couldn't
It just was
process it.
so fucking manic. It's just, and so I always would like drink a lot, smoke weed. Never didn't like coffee. We started talking about that. Didn't like anything that was a stimulant because I didn't need it. Never wake up tired. Now I have a neuropsychologist who explained to me that if you don't feel tired, you should look in the mirror and see if you're showing physical signs of exhaustion because I just don't feel it.
Wow.
And so I kind of, for the longest time, I'm a little more medicated now, but it doesn't really matter. It's like I just have impulse control problems because I don't have the same hardware as you guys. And somebody's like, well, everybody has a thing. Like my sister's like bipolar, And I was like, yeah, I totally
My
get
girlfriend's
that.
bad shit.
That shit crazy. And so you've got that, but it's like, all right, it's not, I physically don't have the hardware. So it'd be like if I had 4 fingers, right? I still have same life, great life, marry a beautiful girl who sees me as who I really am. But I just can't grip things in the same way you guys do, ever.
Yeah.
No one. Unless somebody is physically brain damaged, then I don't have the same equipment that you guys have.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty
They tell you
wild.
what was the origin of the issue?
It's congenital, so I was born with it.
Born with it. Okay.
It just was a thing that just wasn't really working, you know? And so they took it out, and usually it's found in aneurysm, so you die from it.
Was there a point where it was like, oh, we don't take this out, you're going to die? That's what was happening?
No, the guy said, some of the most important neurosurgeons
What's this
in the
McFace?
world.
Dr. Who's you call it?
Dr. Alexander was the sad intern who unplugged my fucking pinball machine, by the way. But he was like, so this is an electric surgery, 10% fatality. So 1 out of 10 people die when they get the surgery. And I was like, okay. And I said, so will I be funny after I get the surgery? And he was like, what? And I go, will I be funny? He's like, I don't know why. Kind of like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, that's kind of how I make a little bit more than that. That's sort of who I am. Like, that's my whole purpose, is making people laugh, making people happy. He's like, I mean, you didn't use it before, so I guess I don't think you'd really be different, but we don't know. We have no idea. I said, okay, it's elective. So what happens if I don't get it? He's like, you'll probably die in your mid-30s, I think.
Wow.
Really?
And then I was like, And I remember thinking, I was like, well, if I'm not funny, then I have this many years more. But that'll suck. And then if I want to remain this way and the mania, everything, I was like, it's not that bad. But then I was like, I do like craps. And 10%, I think I'm doing fine. It's not like I'm playing the field or something.
No, it's a pretty good.
It's a pretty good. So I said, all right, let's roll the dice.
More than 10%, like 90% is a good shot.
Yeah.
It's a good shot.
It's a good shot. It's a good shot.
I'm sure all of us have been in situations that are much more dangerous than that.
Yeah,
we have all agreed to take a ride home from a person who is impossibly drunk.
Yes.
For us to
Or
be
someone
able
getting in
to
a car with Tom right now.
where you get in the car and you're like, I'm encouraging you to one day kill yourself, even if we get through this.
Nate Bargatze, dude. We drove back. We lived in the same block. I love this story. We told on stage before together. Nate, we drive to the same, and I'm panicking because I'm drunk, but Nate was like, he'll drive. He said he wouldn't drink, but he did. And then he's driving, and he's telling me he's absolutely fine. And I'm worried because, like, when we're on the Queensboro Bridge, I feel like it's terrifying. It's scary. And we get to our block, and he does a parallel park in one motion, smooth, killed it so impressively that when we got out of the car, I walked around the car, nodding my head in
enthusiasm.
Just I'm like, wow, dude. I go, you know what's funny, Nate? Yeah. I thought you were fucking like hammered and driving all over the place, but that was smooth as shit. Went in my house, he went in his house. I woke up in the morning with my ex-wife screaming at me, and she goes, "You let Nate drive you home drunk yesterday?" I go, No. You don't understand. I go, I did think he was drunk. I actually thought, like, but I was drunk. So in fairness, I probably thought he was driving wacky because I was fucked up. Yeah. I go, but don't even think about it. I go, when he parallel parked in the spot he parallel parked in, I knew, like, Nate's absolutely fine. She goes, well, Laura, Nate's wife, said Nate came in, he pissed himself immediately. He threw up and he slept like in the bathtub or something. He was so hammered. And I was like, wow. I go, that's crazy because the way he parked was just unbelievable. She goes, oh yeah, about the parking. She goes, come out here. And we went on our balcony, which looks over the thing. Dude, Nate, it was the problem. Currently, as we were looking at it, it was 3 cars you could park on this last little part of the block. Uh-huh. Car, empty spot, car, Nate to me parallel parked in between those 2 cars. Dude, the car was just sideways almost in the street where, thank God there was an outlet street you can go up and around in because you couldn't go past. All night long, he just was parked diagonal in the middle of the street, and I circled that car and went,
so
good job. That's great.
That's the best part, is circling the car going like, okay, Nate.
Nice job,
Look at me judging you.
Now I see you. Now I see you.
I'm looking at you, Nate.
All right, we got to wrap this up. When does Dear Jonah come out?
It's now streaming on YouTube.
Yeah.
Please check it out. It is, again, I can't wait to hear what you think about it because it is a special
really
that started
enjoyed it.
out
I really
as a special. And now it is it became sort of this beautiful crowd work thing because you couldn't make fun of him. You couldn't be like, oh, look at the geek in the front row.
Have you kept in touch with him? You
just had to do this tight wire act, which was crazy. A couple of times I was like, I'm losing them. I could feel it. I was like, I'm losing them. I got to get. Sometimes it was, am I talking about him too much or to him too much? It was really that. The best thing about the special is this woman wrote a comment and she goes, I was Jonah's high school counselor.
Oh, wow.
And this is, I laughed and laughed and I cried at the end. And this, I couldn't believe how beautifully you treated it. It was so interesting because I think she saw who he was, which I saw of on stage, and something about it. You also see me be like, God damn, this guy's fucking funny. He has the funniest line in the whole special. And in the closer is him and me doing something. And it's so cool. And the whole audience by the end is like, Jonah's so fucking awesome. He's so really funny. Great. He's so cool. And it's fucking ridiculous, the stuff that happens. And I have another closer that I do. And I'm like, this is just for you. It's not for anybody else. And he can't believe it. It's like a ventriloquist dummy thing. It's
great.
so
But I'm saying,
fun.
did you stay in touch with him since the show or no?
All I've heard for is from his counselor. But I thought it was really important, and Kate and I talked about this a lot. For me, I wanted to go do a premiere in Nashville and invite him and take him out to dinner, his family and stuff. And Kate had a good point, which was like, just let him.
Because it makes it
he
more.
He went to a show and he became the show.
Yeah.
Just let that be that.
Yeah,
if he wants to reach out to you, okay. Anything else is like could be possibly construed as exploitative,
right? Sure.
And that's not what this was. And the media already loves to be like, oh, TJ's a bad guy.
You know what's interesting about that? As you say that, it's funny because I remember having this moment. So on Bonfire, we watched a bunch of videos from this girl was brought to our attention named Summer Rain. She's definitely has mental issues. She lives on Social Security. She's a white girl who raps hilariously.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
It's not. It's the whole thing's ridiculous and fun. I had her, and she's like famous on the show because of the thing, and she's called in and she sent us like messages before.
That's fun.
When I was in Tampa, she lives in Florida, Polk County. I was like, come out. I gave her money. I was like, she's performed once before live. Everything's just like YouTube shit.
Yeah.
So I go, come out. The audience will love you. I go, come out, and at the end of my set, come out and do 3 songs. She goes, oh, I'd love to. And she comes out. She's retarded, but she's so sweet and whatever about it. And I'm saying after she did the first show, because the thing is, like, even though it's comedy to them and it's serious to her, what she experiences is this crowd standing up while she's performing, her second time ever on stage, and mouthing the words of her music back to her because they know them from our show. Mm-hmm. And the manager of the club came to me. He was like, kind of smarmy in the thing. He was like, does that girl know you're exploiting her? I go, what?
That's what they said?
He goes, does she know that you're exploiting her? I go, how am I exploiting her? I go, I understand she's not good at what she does, but she's a person who doesn't understand that. She's putting everything she has into it, and we're giving her the night where
she's getting accolades.
Everyone's standing up and singing the word. I go. Now I'm giving her the best night of her life.
So I
say that to every woman.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. I don't know who you're talking about, but I do have to say that there's some part of him or her, whatever. There's some part of them that's jealous of that rapper, of the girl.
Yeah.
They're
100%.
jealous of the fact that she gets to feel that and they don't, and they look down on her
because she shouldn't have had any success with what she's doing.
Why does she get to have an audience cheer for her and I never will? I really think that. And if you have a conversation with a real person who will be honest, Jonah has an enviable life, and one of the enviable things about it is that he was there having the greatest time. He was the hugest fan of mine. He got there at 4 p.m. He was the first person. He had seen me before, but he felt like he was too far back. And he said, the closer you are, the more fun you're going to have, which, of course, is true to him. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of true sometimes. But so he got so close to the stage. This is why I ended up interacting with him, that he was like, he was the closest person. He was almost on the stage. Right, yeah. And then this show becomes about him. And as you saw, I tell him that he's going to be in this comedy special while it's out. And he just, you can see him be like,
after him too.
holy shit, this is awesome, man. This is the night.
Yeah, he was right. He was right the whole time.
That's why hearing about it from his high school counselor was her being like, you have no idea what you did for this kid that I know so well. And the other awesome thing about it was I got off stage and Lucy in Nashville was like, oh my God. She was like, I started crying at the end. And I loved that. I loved hearing that. But the thing is, the comic was, I was like, and it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great.
The audience was like, that was so fun. And that's the thing. It's like, I set out to put this pandemic special, stuff I was doing in the pandemic, time capsule, whatever. Well, that's not really what I do great. Is like write jokes and put it. I'm a performer first before a writer, but we're all writers, as you said. But that is not that interesting because, again, just like what you've gone through, I'm a white straight guy, so not too interesting to see this.
Jay part of the straight. I'm not so
but
sure.
to put there it is. That's that.
Real nice, dude.
That was the whole joke during Legion of Skanks. I got in there was so high.
We have
and
heart
you
meters
kept-
that question it. That's all I'm saying.
You kept joking. You kept joking on Legion of Skanks over and over. This everyone, you're gay. It was this. I was so paranoid. I was like, what is happening here?
We're all gay.
Are these guys? Exactly.
They're on to me.
Are these guys all? And so, what I really thought was like out there about this night was I set out to do this thing that I wasn't. You know, we're talking about the black comics and kind of black comics trying to be more white. Is there even a white room when it's a black room? I started to do this thing that wasn't really me, and then it became this thing that was completely me.
Well, I recommend it. It's out now, dear Jonah. Anything else you want to plug, and we'll go around the room and do plugs?
Cashing In with TJ Miller, available where podcasts are heard.
Your new podcast coming to Guest Digital sometime in January.
What, do you got to jog in the morning, Ralph?
Oh, you know what, though? I'll tell you this. So Cash
he
Levy
does
was
that.
like, I don't know if this is not on brand for our show because it's his show. And it's like, I think you got to be careful, too, because it's true. It's like within Hollywood, I need to kind of be the guy that's like, I'm not going to do whippets on a podcast. And I said, well, you know, Legion of Skanks, and I absolutely love you. I'm concerned for your health.
Yeah, me too.
But I also wish that we're hanging out.
Tom's killing it.
Tom's killing it. And so I said, yeah, I don't know if I agree with you. And then Cash was like, you know, Ralph has a podcast of his own that's not on the network.
Right, I do. The reason why.
And I was like, he does? And he goes, yeah, because he feels that that's not on brand for that podcast.
Yeah,
and I was
it's
like,
a health and wellness podcast.
He doesn't want one of his podcasts to be on Gas
On his own network.
And he has
like,
fat
what
people
the
working
fuck
for
is
him
The
left
reason
and
is
right.
simple.
We're above this.
But that's so funny.
Yeah, because-
don't you think that's hilarious?
It is, but here's
it's
why.
your network.
It's a health and
you're
wellness
like,
show.
I know, and you're like, and I won't allow that to touch the toxic
it
environment.
makes no
that is
sense.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
But Ralph,
Makes
really,
no sense.
it doesn't not make sense. You own the network. Whatever the thing may be, it can be on the network.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's on brand. Like, just like if you had
I'm saying it's hysterical.
If you
that
had-
he's like, TJ,
Get all the fats that work for you.
if you
in shape.
had a network of if you had a
There's so many
sports
fats who work
if
for
you had
you.
a sports
Plural.
network,
Yeah.
and on the side you did a show about mysteries, you said that probably shouldn't be on my
But
sports
this isn't.
network.
But this is
what network
This
is
isn't
this?
It's not
anything.
on-
But
this network is comedy.
It's
and-
not defined. But this network is not defined by like dirty or whatever comedy.
No, I
It's
agree.
not.
I just felt like it didn't make sense for the network. That's all. That's
Yeah.
all.
This is-
Because also
You're a
This-
pussy, dude.
I was gonna say this is exactly what Cash
Lewis
was
bullied
laughing
you.
about.
No. I by the way specifically said I just don't feel like it's
Yeah,
on
Lewis
brand.
told you it can't be on.
That's
The,
right.
As
network.
Ralph's employee, I feel he made the correct decision, and this was the right move. Good call, Ralph.
That's your boss you're talking to.
Tom's-
Now, what I did, you
Tom's
probably
first time
heard this
speaking.
1,000 times. I wanted to do the show, have many other people on this. Before the show, I had sex. I did drugs on the way
Cheers.
to the show while listening to rock and roll.
Fun Loving
Do a lot of
Criminals.
people do that? Now I'm going to listen on the way home. Do a lot of people come and do that?
We're waiting for the guy that comes on that has all three were their
On the
first night.
show.
Well, on the show or their first night because we always ask about the first. We've had a lot of doubles, like someone their first time doing sex was drugs, or first concert they did drugs.
We had a guy
Tonight was the
we had a
first.
guy get blown by a junkie not long ago.
Yeah. Oh, we
That
got
was
it.
wild.
I
Good for
feel
you guys. Was that on the Health Food Podcast?
That
or
wasn't
was
my-
that
that
bettering
was the
your
network.
weight?
Now, by the way, that was what we did for the health.
That
Right.
played better on the network.
Jay, your plugs.
A little better. on this network.
BigJComedy.com. I'm in Miami this weekend. I'm all over the place every weekend till March. Special hopefully coming out in February.
That's great. You're doing dates all the way through.
Oh yeah, man. I'm
By the way,
excited.
someone's got to take a picture of the 400 empty Whippets on the floor.
TJ Miller does not have a website.com for touring
That's a good
dates
one.
and all that.
Nice.
Shannon, your plugs.
You can follow me on Instagram at ShannonLee6982 and listen to my podcast, The Thing Is, Ding. We talk about bad dates, fighting, and ghosts. We have all sorts of interesting guests come on and they tell their own personal experiences about their worst date experience, a time they got into a street fight, and an experience with the paranormal.
By the way, I'm going to say one last thing about this.
You're a fist fought a fucking ghost, Big J.
The other part
I
about
haven't,
it,
but I
While you were
would.
fucking a demon?
I am technically the co-host of the other show, not my show.
This is so great.
So
I've
that's
been
part of
waiting
why.
to talk to you
Yeah,
about
it's
this.
part of
Yeah,
it.
I don't
This is
really want to
great.
talk about it because it's not on the network.
Yeah.
It's
Shannon,
really-
can I make one week for us?
It's not good
Can
enough
I do
to
the
be on
song?
the network.
Yeah. Well, let's pick.
I know Ralph loves
I'm
a
sorry.
song.
Before you do that, can I just also say, please listen to the Ghost Hunting
the Ghost Hunting
special
episode, right. It's
with
the
Brian Six and Ryan Shaner. You can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. Go
An
watch that one.
all-time guest digital network bonus show.
Was that English?
I'm not
No.
sure what that
Well, he's
Dancing
now
on my
done,
own.
That's another problem.
He's done 40
if
of
you do,
them.
Well, if you do a case, right, which for me is 100 case, when you do a 50 case, then you start to be like, I think I just need to sit down and watch
for a while.
Guys, this chair is
That's
super
incredibly
comfortable.
expensive.
Oh, whatever the fuck he just said 30 seconds ago. 'Cause I
Yeah.
didn't get any of it.
I think you nailed it, Tom.
This is, you say it first. It's like, this is the first time I fucked, did drugs, and listened to rock and roll because I don't really listen to rock and roll that much.
I love it. What's the song you wanted to hear?
Dancing on My Own, the Tiesto remix, please, Shannon. Go Phils.
Yes, go Phils.
World Series, baby.
All right, we'll
Go
see
Birds.
everybody next
Is
time.
it happening? Is it
Jay?
going to happen?
Sixers.
It is
Shannon,
going to happen.
oh,
I'm gonna take us outside.
They
I'm gonna
probably
do it
lost
outside.
tonight.
I'm gonna do it and smoke a
Fun
butt.
Loving Criminals.
All right, we're going to go. Oh, we still got like 15
Cheers.
left in here.
I'm gonna do it outside and smoke a butt.
All right, love you all. Peace.
Thanks for having me.